Well, just remember, like in 15 or 20 minutes, I got to go check on
Okay, yeah, we'll make it quick.
brownies.
Yep. Hey, Star. So, tell us about that time you came back from Anthrocon.
So you talking about the time that I put Judy Hopps in a seat and buckled her up, and the guy next to me like got creeped out for the whole next 2 hours?
Yeah, that one.
So I fly Southwest. I sleep with a bed buddy, and I was flying home from Anthrocon. It was 2017, and that was the year that I paid for an upgrade to get on the plane because Southwest does the tiered seats. They bring on Group A, then Group B, then Group C, right? You know about that.
Yeah, I've only flown like twice, but yeah, I get that.
Okay, so if you pay if you pay a little bit extra, like 15, $20, you get put on one of the first boarding groups. And I was like, I still had a few bucks left over from Anthrocon. And I'm like, I'm gonna pay for boarding group one or boarding group A. My bed buddy, who is Judy Hopps, dis- because my bags were extraordinarily overloaded at that point, I decided to do Judy as a carry-on. And so she was in my bag, in like my carry-on bag that goes on the plane with me. And I'm in boarding group one, and I rush on the plane, and I plop my fat butt down, and I'm in the front row next to that big wall in the 737. So I have like the most leg room.
Hmm.
And I'm like, well, there's no one else here yet. I'm going to have a little bit of fun. So I pulled the Judy doll out of my bag. And I decided just to take a quick photo of me and Judy on the plane just for my own personal amusement, right? And then I put her in the seat next to me, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to buckle her up real quick and take a quick photo.
Yeah, as one would do.
As one would do, you're a furry. But that was the exact moment this guy comes on board with like a really, really shitty looking 3-piece suit and a briefcase, wearing like a tie, and he's on the phone. And I'm like, well, seems like Judy's going to be here for the duration of the flight because I
Mm,
don't want to sit next to this guy. And it didn't seem like it was going to be that much of a booked flight as it was.
yeah.
So Judy stayed buckled up next to me in the because it's like 3 seats and I'm on the one with the window. And I don't want him sitting next to me. So Judy is buckled into the seat next to me, and this guy just stares at me. But he's not wanting to make eye contact with me, but he'll more than make eye contact with Judy. Like he's looking at her like she's going to stand up and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I messed up. Officer Hopps, I'll just get into the overhead compartment.
Did you want a window seat?
I wanted a window seat."
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, she's going to offer it to me like, "Do you
Yeah.
want me to move the fat guy? I'll tase him."
Yeah.
So like, and I keep looking over at him, and this is the most uncomfortable human being I've seen in a long time.
What do you mean by that, though? Like,
Because I'm talking to her. Like,
oh,
so he sits down, and so I look at her, I'm like, so when the flight attendant comes around, they're going to offer you some pretzels. Do you mind if I have yours? You're watching your figure, right?
a bunny figure.
Like, and I'm like, did you want, what do you want to drink? I don't think they have carrot juice. They might have something with carrot juice in it, but it's going to be a mixed cocktail, and I think you're on duty. And the
Are you the
guys,
prisoner she's escorting?
this guy is slowly edging away from us in his seat. Like he's looking around, just trying to decide how bad he wants to bail out. But you can tell he wants to be the first one off the plane when we get there. By no means of my help whatsoever, but I'm still going to help him achieve this dream. So for the next 2.5 hours, Judy is strapped in to a chair, and he will not engage. He will not look at me. He will not talk to me. He will not do anything. And he's slowly just leaning against the side of his seat the furthest away from me he can be.
Woo!
And every so often I talk to her. I'm like, "Did you want to watch the movie? Like, I'm over here watching Old School. Did you want to see this? You're good? Okay." I'm just asking. I'm just like I'm having a conversation that's incredibly one-sided. And we get to Orlando. The plane's not even at the jetway yet. He is up and pulling his briefcase out of the overhead compartment and waiting for that hatch to open.
He's about to jump out that shit without a parachute.
Oh, he is ready to go. And I wait for him to they open the door and it's like a fart in a vacuum cleaner. He's gone. And that's how I flew home with Judy Hopps back in 2017.
Now, did anybody else notice? Did the flight attendant notice?
The flight attendant noticed, but there were like a bunch of other furries on the flight, so they were already used to this somewhat.
Oh, okay.
Like it didn't even phase her. But this guy, like, I keep waiting to find out he was like an executive for like Mercedes Benz or someone. Like, I'm gonna see him on TV one day, be like, "That's the guy I weirded out with my Judy doll."
He's probably on the phone with his wife. They put me next to a weird one again, Martha. I can't call him that word anymore. I'm not allowed to say it.
Darling, I hate to tell you this, but there's a special needs person on this plane. I don't know if I should help him or shoot him.
Same thing.
Yeah. So that's how I flew home with Judy. That was a fun flight. I haven't ever pulled that one again. They won't let me have her as a carry-on anymore. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. That's how I flew home with Judy.
Bye.
Bye.
Fucking hilarious.